Hey, what's up, guys? Been a long time. You have no idea how many times I have thought about making this video. But each time that I was waiting for the market to rebound and then I would make the video, it didn't to the extent that I thought it would until um, more recently. I would say been a couple of months actually that I made this decision that this direction is no longer for me, and I wanted to, I guess, wait a bit, still in my last bit of hope for the market to rebound to any degree. Um, and, um, but in the end, there's some things that I thought through now where it was like basically the final straw for me. So before I get more into this video, I'm just gonna put a little warning for anybody who's already not feeling that well because you're in crypto. It's not a good time. Everybody's already feeling bad. If you're already feeling bad, might not want to watch this, right? My purpose is not to make you depressed like me. My purpose is to come out and have at least the um, like dignity to just put things into like reality where I'm at, right? That was the whole point of these channels that I get into, is to document the process. And then what ends up happening a lot of times is when things go south, I'm just like trying or hoping they turn better before I start making videos again. And I'm not an influencer, right? I can't like just lie about, oh, get this, I don't know, whatever. In Twitter, the influencers, right, they're like always bullish, right? No matter what happens, they never show really what's their profit and losses are. So I'm not going to be able to do that. And so anyways, that's the point of this video, is that instead of me waiting for some time for it to rebound, why not just like come out? It's been enough time to actually say out my where I'm at overall in this journey, and if it helps somebody else, or at least you get a perspective out of it. Okay, so let's begin. Why am I leaving crypto? Let's go to the very beginning. Why did I get into it in the first place? Right? The first, I actually bought ETH and some shit coins and a little bit of Bitcoin back in 2017, but I didn't have no idea at all. And I didn't even care to. I just like got a credit card and bought with it. You could buy with credit cards back then. And then it crashed and that was it. I never like thought much of it other than me losing money and I did something really stupid. Okay. But really, when I bought my first Bitcoin was like around May 2020. It was soon after the crash, so it was actually a good purchase. It's around $5,000 to $6,000 where I bought like I think about like 40 50K worth, right? So anyways, in that time, my reasoning at least was like, in multiple people that I followed at that time, if I can remember exactly, like it would be Cathie Wood, Matthew Crater, Anthony Pomp, um, and there's a few others, but I didn't have like obviously a lot of reasoning behind it as anybody who just first gets in, but I had somewhat understanding in the thought that like, wow, these guys are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and some of them are worth billions of dollars. And if they're putting their money in this thing, then they must know what it like. They must know the tech behind it, right? I don't have to understand the tech, that it's secure and all that stuff. I'm like, they must have done their due diligence, and especially with Cathie Wood's breakdown of what they crossing our T's and dotting our I's, whatever, right? Like they went through like an extensive amount in 2015, and their reports show like how much like ways they cut this thing to sideways to find out that wow, this is actually like the most secure thing that we ever found. Okay, cool. It was that combination with the ethos of crypto, right? It like really resonated with me, and I think it resonates with a lot of like young people in today's day, which is like a thing that's outside of the system that is guaranteed over time to go down in value and fail. So you're working your life away getting this thing called money in dollars, but then that thing is guaranteed to go down in value. So as you go through your life and get more of it, its value goes down. It was simple things like that that like made sense to the degree where I could put a good amount of money in, right? Now, mind you, at that time, my net worth is not that much, right? It's like, I think it was like 200K. I mean, funny thing is, my cash balance right now is not that much better than that time, but that's a different story. Or it might actually come around in this rant in of itself. But the point is, okay, so that's kind of like how I got in crypto. I'm like, all right, Bitcoin, this is the signal of freedom, right? This is like if freedom had a chart, this is what the chart would look like, right? Boom. Simple concept, got into it. Okay. Soon after that, I was hit by an avalanche of the world of these other coins. Like, I think people downplay that experience, but it's really like an experience to go through and be like, wait a second, wow. Like, so when this thing does a 50% up, these go 10x. Like, it's really insane, right? I was at the right place at the right time. It was the first time I'm really investing, and it was actually the first time I had a decent amount of cash. Like the last time before that I tried anything like trading or investing or gambling of this kind, whatever you want to call it, right? Of this kind of like, I'm going to buy this thing, make more money, stuff like that, was when I had like almost no money, like a couple $1,000s or something like that, right? Long time ago. So this is the first time where I had like $200,000 or something. So I was like, all right, cool. Like this is the first like a little like meaningful amount of money I'm putting into something. And once I got into all this other stuff and started to see all these other, coins and everything into it, somewhere, I mean, pretty quickly, I lost that ethos. Like it just became more about like, obviously just getting huge returns. Now, anybody who was in that run in basically the last run, 2021, would tell you that, I don't want to get into it too much, but it's like, it's really hard to describe. Like, I would never think that something that can be called work would be so addicting. It's like I like business for the most part, right? In entrepreneurship, there's a lot of struggle, but there are some jewels and things that are worth fighting for that you have, whether you have struggle or success. And overall, I would say it is weighed not even, a little bit skewed more towards pain. I would say so. Overall, it's still skewed towards pain, but the excitement of the upside is what really makes the battle worth it. I'm not going to get into a few characteristics that you develop while you're in that journey because it's going to get too way too ranty in entrepreneurship, but I'm just giving you a comparison. When I started my business, when it started working, that was the first time where I felt like this is truly something that's exciting, that I feel I look forward to day to day, week to week, and it constantly draws me towards it, right? Unfortunately, business is not always like that, and this is one of those times where it's not like that. I'll get into that later on this video. But in comparison, how 2021 felt, it was like cocaine. I felt like there was nothing else I could do more. And mind you, this is at a time when I'm extremely sick. And at certain points, pretty much dying. So looking back, my emotions are so strong of the pain when I was like bedridden, middle of the night, all night, thinking if I'm going to make it literally physically, along with knowing how money went up and the excitement through it. It's just like a complete blur, right? Anyways, the point of this part was to just show that 2021 was the most addicting form of anything I could never imagine that work, something that I could call work, could be this addicting and this much fun. Okay. Fast forward, 2022 happened. And 2022 is what I would call the worst year of my life, period. Since I was born, in the entire year, I've had worse nights, like single nights, in my year. But as a year, 2022 was the worst year. I was literally dying multiple times while I'm losing all that money. And anybody who went through that would be able to look back and then understand that, wow, I was so much in the right place at the right time because there were so many things that played at the same time. I mean, you could make a fucking goddamn list out of this shit, and every single one of them are very hard hitting, right? COVID, record high money printing, right? Stimulus checks, literally like sending money through the air. Like, it's like there was just so much crazy money sloshing around that it had to make its way. And naturally, when there's excess, it makes its way to the most riskiest ecosystem, which is crypto. And if you were one of those 500,000 people that had a wallet at that year, at that time, you got to experience what 10xing your net worth feels like. And anyways, so okay, 2022, lost all that shit, dying, worst year of my life. And here's some of the lessons I learned from this. I mean, this is kind of like hard to wrap up, but the biggest one I would say is this. If something you're able to, like if you're somebody who's relatively hardworking, relatively, right? Now, this is something going to be subjected to different people, but if you're somebody who's like, you're very sure that I work harder than the average person, I try harder than the average person, I wouldn't say smarter, right? But I would say at least effort-wise, and you have done that for an extended period of time, at least 2-3 years of your life, whether it be in a job or you started a business, whatever it is. Like, I know I work harder than the average person, right? Like, I don't feel any like kind of way saying that, or like, like any kind of like remorse, or I'm tooting my horn or anything like that. Like, I just know it because I have done a lot of cold calling. I've worked alongside people, and the average American walking about, if I look at my neighbors, I'm very judgmental as a person. Just if I look at my neighbors and these guys are just like, some of these guys are just like smoking weed all the time down the road, whatever they're doing. Like, I always like judge it. I'm like, man, look at this guy. This is like 46 years old. Like, how does he even live here? How does he even afford rent in this place? I'm always like, this is my thought process going on, right? So I get my identification from evidence I see across other people that I work harder, not smarter. Unfortunately, wasn't born with the brains, but I work harder than the average person. Okay, if you know that you work harder than the average person, for sure, then you get into anything where you can get 10 times, 20 times, 50 times more output, more effort. I mean, more results. Let's call results, for in this case, just making money with almost no work, right? Anybody in, like, people will say, oh yeah, we put in 14-hour days. And guys, how hard is it to put 14-hour days when you're on Twitter and your money's just going up? Like, I had trouble sleeping because I'm so excited I can't even breathe, right? Oh, that was because I was sick, but like, it's not that hard. Being in crypto, I'm talking about the effort is not that hard. Mentally, we'll get into that later. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever dealt with in terms of mentally. It's so much so that I don't even know which one was harder, losing all the money and mentally, or literally dying and bleeding out. Like, I swear to God, I genuinely do not know which one is harder, because it happened to me at the same time. I'm looking back, I do not know what was harder. So mentally, I'm not saying that, because anybody who watches that, and I've said like it's easy to be in crypto, you would probably get like really pissed off here. What I'm saying, hear me out, is effort, guys. If you sit down and tell me, hey, what's harder, picking up the phone and cold calling strangers for 10 hours a day? Cold calling until your hands hard, cold calling until your voice breaks, cold calling until days where you don't have to pay the bill and you're literally crying, and on the notepad where you're writing down notes, you see like tears that are dried up. That versus being on crypto, you'd be crazy if you told me crypto is harder. It's not harder, effort-wise. Effort-wise, business is harder. Anyways, not to, what's the point I'm trying to provide here? The point I was trying to provide is the lesson. The lesson I was just saying is that if you know what hard work is like, and then you get to something where you make 10 times, 20 times, 30 times more money, right? So in fact, like for example, it took me, 2018, 2019, half of 2020 to make $200,000, right? Working like 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, like, crazy amounts of work, insane. To this day, it's the 2018 was the hardest year I've ever worked in my life. by far. It's not like, I almost feel guilty sometimes how lazy I kind of became compared to 2018. Anyways, $200,000, 3 years of work. Went from 300,000 to 3.2 million swiping on Twitter. Just like, oh my God, he bought this. Let me buy some of this. Oh my God, it did 10x. What do you know? And they're getting used to that, right? The lesson was that it broke my frame. It disconnected. You work hard, you get an output. It disconnected, severed that. And unfortunately, I think looking back, because maybe I can't see it now because the money magnitude that I lost is so much. I'm thinking like $3 million. That's a lot of money, right? I might never make that kind of money again. Who knows? But if I do, let's assume that I do. Let's assume I never get sick again. I figure out my business, whatever, and I make this kind of money sometime in my life again, in my adult life, right? If in that case, especially looking back, I think the biggest thing I lost was that sever. Before crypto, I was way more excited with entrepreneurship. It's like a guy who was told he's shitty at everything he does in his life for all the way through high school, college, everything, whatever, until he gets into something that actually he's not so shitty at. And then he starts getting good, and then he starts making money, and he can pay his bills with it. And he keeps doing it, and not only can he pay his bill, but he can have some kind of status. His mom doesn't think her eldest son is like a complete loser anymore. She might actually be a little bit proud of him. These things was brought through business and sales. It severed that connection. That kind of money ruins your entire scope of what it takes to make anything happen. And then you're just like, if I can get anything I want just by swiping and following a few people, why even, what is this business? In fact, in 2021, I was like, I'm gonna sell this shit. What the fuck? Why am I talking to contractors? What the fuck? They get my time? They don't probably even have 1/10 of what I have in my bank. Why? I'm not even sure if I should be talking to these people. It might lower me. Now that's getting a bit too much. But my point is, you get way too high, high horse on how life works. That I would say is the biggest lesson. It's God damn it, that really ruined my scope of money. And ever since then, I am so ashamed to say that I don't think it fully ever went away. Even after losing everything in 2022, you'd think that I would be like, wow, that was a mistake. But it's not. It's not maybe you learned 70% of the day, but there's still some lingering hope that, yeah, dude, I mean, that, yeah, you got to work hard to make some money, but, if you're in the right coins, yeah, you're going to make it back. You're going to make it back. You're going to make millions back. You really want to go through some crazy hard shit again, 14-hour day work, whatever, right? Your other paths, you've seen what it can happen when the market rebounds. It's going to rebound. This lingers on. And here's why this is damaging. No matter what happens in crypto, you will not win the game. It is actually impossible to win the game fully with just crypto. Here's the two scenarios that can happen. You lose your hard-worked money and you don't win because then you feel like somebody who just gambled on some stupid shit and lost all your money. You're an idiot. Or the other scenario is you make your money. You make a lot of money, but do you know what that happens? Since it didn't come from a base of actual skill and effort, you're going to not have, you're not going to have the characteristics of the person that gets that outcome. I'll try to say it again in a different way. As you go through life, there are certain decisions you make, and as you get older, certain decisions they're more long lasting, right? And doors are slowly closing as you get older. Usually your main time is between 20 20 to 40 years old. And as you go through more of that time, right? Like now I'm in my 30s, so I got 2 bars left. So 30 to 35, 35 to 40, right? When looking back after you're 40, because it's gonna come, just like you remember when you're 20, like now I'm 30. If you're in your 20s right now, you can remember when you're 14. It might seem like a world apart. That world apart kind of shrinks. Like 14 years old, I can't imagine what 24 is. It's like I like there's no I can't even fathom. Like it's but 24, I think I could kind of get a sense what 30 might be. 30, I can kind of like pretty realistically. I think I know what 40 is gonna be. I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna no matter the outcome, I would not be able to be like, okay, that's what I'm made of. That's what really drove the result. Me taking those decisions, putting in those nights, going through that shit storm for those couple of years paid this and that. I'm not here to do a whole virtue signal, right? This is where this is going to be so determinant on the person. But the longer I am paying the price, right? Because it's anybody who watches this would be like, this guy's just trying to like blow smoke, right, man? If I made a couple millions right now, I don't care how I got it. And you're probably right? If I sold the top in 2021, I would have been way more happy right now. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I got 3 million in the bank. Fuck yeah, right? In some countries, I could be even considered retired. But the longer you go in that hope, right? I'm going to try to put it in practicality. The longer you go in this hope that like, hey, I made $2-3 million. Now I lost it all. And now I'm going to keep going 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026. What if it takes the next cycle, right? There's a good amount of evidence showing that this could be a muted cycle and whatnot. Pentoshi has been saying it for several, I'm going to get into some of the evidence that I have. But what if that happens? Is it going to be worth it then? You just wait around in your life, kind of getting by, doing some stuff, but not really going into anything properly, and waiting out the entire decade. And then let's say I do make money at the end. Let's say 2030 comes and finally the market rebounded and I waited that long and I got my $2 million, $3 million. How do you think I would feel? Do you think I would be ecstatic? You think it's something I would carry on for years? That yes, I am so patient and great investor that I waited a decade for the markets to rebound. No, dude, I wouldn't think that. I would look back, my 40-year-old would be ashamed of my 30-year-old. Be like, dude, really? Like you look what you did in 2018 and you sat around not like come on, dude. You just waited for this thing to rebound. Again, guys, I gave the warning in the beginning of the video. This is just me personally. Personally, do not feel like this is me an attack on you. Like I'm being dead on about this. This is this thought process is built 100%. This is how my mind works because the person I am and experiences that I've gone through. If you don't resonate with this part and you still want to keep watching, just watch and ignore this part. Right? I don't want anybody to watch this and feel like they're getting some kind of like subliminally attacked with their character and stuff like that. Because I've done a lot of that to a lot of people when I was younger. And I hate doing that shit. I'm not here to virtue signal like some masturbation bullshit. But I'm just letting you know that's how I would be. That's it. Knowing myself and the thoughts that I have to, a big part of why I go to therapy is so I can be easier on myself. So like, there, caveat, I got issues, guys. I got neurotic issues. I'm already being down, like I'm talking down to myself constantly. And the hardest person for me to get respect off of myself, for me to have certain nights where I'm like, that was a good day. You moved the needle forward. Even getting that little pat on the back of myself is very hard, right? Okay, now that we got that out of the way, this is why this was the final straw for me, where I'm like, wait a second. It just dawned on me. Let me play this out. Let's say I wait and I can be really patient and the markets rebound. What is the trophy here? What am I really winning? I was almost dead not too long ago and I came back and this is the big trophy? I just held on and patiently waited. This can't be how the story ends, bro. This is just not how I want to live my life. All right. So we're 25 minutes in, probably around another 25 to go. So might as well cover some basis towards what can really happen. All right. Let's get into shot callers, big ballers, people who have great track records, and what do they think about the current market. I'm too lazy to record my screen and shit like this here, but basically, should have probably prepared, but let's go through my memory. In 2021, who called the top? Pentoshi, number one. My favorite person when it comes to the trading world. What the hell? He called it. What does he think about the current market cycle? He thinks it's a diminished cycle, it's a muted cycle, and he said it multiple times that people should goddamn lower their expectations because it's not going to happen how they think it is. And it kind of makes sense. If life was so easy that you could just hold this thing and get a 10x once again, just like 2021, then, god damn it, why the fuck would we do anything else? It just makes sense, like, realistically to me. So I go with it. And he has a track record. So maybe you guys should consider it because track record is all we got. Number two, the other person that came out and very plainly said and called the top, like literally the top in 2021 was Chamath Palihapitiya. Now, I know in the crypto market, people hate him, or a lot of people do, partly because he talks down on crypto quite a bit, but then found out that he was one of the biggest investors in Solana, or he's an LP or whatever in Multicoin, who then held Solana. However, these fucking multi-billionaires do it. And people got mad at that. And then they got even more mad when they found out that not only does he own it, owns a lot of crypto, talks down on crypto, and then he sold on them. So people hate him more. But man, when we're talking about practicality, we leave all motherfucking virtue signaling aside, and track record is goddamn track record. Result is result. This is why I separate shit, right? First 25 minutes was how I think about it, how I think of my values, all that kind of shit. When we get into practicality, don't confuse the two. Whatever you think about Chamath, you cannot deny the damn fact that he called the top, and he called it like a fucking boss. Like, with so much conviction, which is what we are here for. That's what we want. Everybody in Twitter, the top influencers are calling tops and bottoms every fucking week. And they're like, nobody like cares, or anybody who's has a decent half brain doesn't care about them. But when somebody never calls top, came out, and this was like almost his words, I'm paraphrasing. It's like this shook me to my core in 2022 when I lost everything, looking back in Chamath's videos. He said this. He said, guys, when the smartest people in the world, he mentions Elon Musk, sold Tesla shares, Jeff Bezos sold billions of dollars of Amazon shares, and he came in and said, guys, when the smartest people in the world who are all into their companies, Elon Musk, have never, like, he took no salary, nothing for a decade in Tesla. Nobody else, like, think about that. No stock up, nothing, no payment for a decade until he made the company what he is, right? So he was referring to that. Okay, I'm trying to finish the quote. Let me finish the quote first. Guys, when the smartest people in the world who told us that they would never sell their core holdings are now selling oodles and oodles of their core holdings, and you think that it's not the time to sell, it's either you are smarter than them or you're being naive. You can go back and find the exact wording, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty much how it went. And the reason why that was so iconic is because he gave the reasoning how he thought. It wasn't an overthinking. It wasn't a huge analysis of, like, pages and pages and billionaire stuff. He just came out, he did all his stuff, and he brought it down into a one sentence. Guys, Elon Musk, this guy built this company from, like, fucking a representation of what the extent of human will can be. And this is his core holding. Something that he said he would never sell. And now he's selling. I'm not smarter than Elon Musk. He's saying that I only have $20 billion. Elon Musk has, probably a trillion-dollar company at this point. But like, he was saying that I'm not smarter than him, so I'm not doing it. Chamath. So where are we at? Pentoshi, Chamath. What does Chamath think about it right now? Look at the recent podcast. He's thinking that we're entering a recessionary state. We're entering a recessionary state. What the fuck does that mean? Because I feel like I've been in a recession for goddamn 3 years. But apparently there's different ways to measure it. Whatever it means, this guy does not feel like the market's going in the right place. Bitcoin Jack. Guy predicted multiple tops, multiple bottoms. People don't give him credit because he gets sick a lot. I give him credit because I get sick a lot. Guy probably has some kind of health problem. I mean, I'm not saying people don't give him credit, but I feel like sometimes he's a little bit hard to follow because half the time he's gone and stuff and he's like, can't get out of bed or whatever is wrong with him. I don't know. My point is, he called March 2020 bottom, by the way, like nailed it almost to the T. Like it was crashing. Everybody, I mean, you think people are panicked right now? March 2020, that was like the epicness of panic. I'm not going to pretend I understood the level of panic because I actually did not have money in the market that time. I put in money in like May, but I knew what panic was like. Everywhere you look at anything of investing kind, there was massive panic. And he came in and he said something like 32 or 3,400 BTC, right? It was under 4,000. When you look back in the chart, you can't even see that price right now. It was so dead on how he nailed that. And then he nailed multiple other ones. What does he think about the market right now? He thinks there's a chance that we have a muted decade. It's been happening in something in the 70s. It's been happening in whatever these traders do. They do all this analysis and they come back, put their prediction, and we just see if they're wrong or right. And the people who happen to be right over time for extended periods of time, you better give them credit. And he thinks there could be a chance it's a muted decade, meaning this cycle could be, this is pretty much what we've seen. This is pretty much where it's at. Maybe we might rebound a little bit, but there's nothing going to be that crazy. And it's going to go back down. And we might return when the economy actually fixes itself towards the end of this decade. I could go on and on. But these are some top people that have really good track records and that are saying the signal that it could be a muted decade. Now, if you're in the market full time, guys, there's opportunities every day. There's nicks and cannies where you can put in $500, $1,000 and get $5,000, $10,000. These kind of things are always available. It's crypto land, right? It's the greatest casino ever built. These are always there. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about major core holdings, right? Projects like Tau, Say, Solana, obviously, Sui, maybe, L1s, ecosystems. I'm not a meme coin guy, right? But meme coins had like more show than I thought was possible in a single cycle. I'm talking about like these kind of holdings where you have somewhat of a risk-adjusted return, right? You know that it's an ecosystem you're buying into, not just like some fucking super gamble of like, hoping somebody buys some weird coin, but like some kind of reasoning behind it where there's VCs behind it, stuff like that. Can these do a 30x, 50x? It's what we're here for. It's what 2021 did and more. 2021, like look at Solana. We're from 50 cents to $250. And VCs got that shit at 4 cents. Anyways, point is that likely to happen? I would say no, right? I would say no at this point, especially with the evidence that I see. What if this was exactly what it takes to get somebody like my level of understanding and knowledge to get shaken out, and then it does rebound? This should be your other thought. And the answer to that is, then the people who stayed on deserve that return. There's nothing else to be said than that. There's no gotchas. There's no like, like you're wrong. All we can do as an investor is look at the evidence that we have, see our strategy, and my strategy, as the channel says, is Shoulders of Giants. It's built upon the analysis of other people and following them over time and seeing what comes true and what doesn't come true, and then understanding their reasoning and how they think, and learn to think a little bit like them, not fully them because they're the expert, but learn to understand a little bit the ebbs and flows, and then make my own decision. This is my strategy. I don't draw fucking charts on the graph and stuff. I'm not a professional trader. I follow this stuff. This is why I pay for services that does this analysis and create videos and blah blah blah. Anyways, and in that strategy, based on the evidence I'm seeing, I'm feeling like there's not a good chance that this market's going to rebound. And even if it does rebound, the chance is like it's like a lower chance. Like let's say if I had to put a number, let's say a 20% chance the market is going to rebound, like hardcore. Bitcoin's going to go fucking $200,000. Shitcoins, Solana's going to go 1,000. You're going to make 30x, 50x of it. Let's say that's kind of, I would say it's like 10 to 20% max, like with a big max. What's more likely, I think, is maybe BTC might hit 100K-ish or so, somewhere close to that, between 80 and 120K-ish or something like that over the next like 1 or 2 years at some point, and then it's going to crash back down and hit once again in the 30s, 40s, 50Ks, something to that degree. And maybe that's my best guess. I would say that chance is, in my opinion, like 70% chance, right? 60-70% chance that could happen. Okay. I just give these two scenarios. And then all we got to do as investors is have a plan for both of these scenarios. Like, this is literally it. Like, don't bet on one thing. I'm going to buy all these shit coins, and then if the market goes down, I get wiped out and I lose my entire net worth. Fucking was obviously the wrong way to play this shit last time. And if you do this thing again, and you weren't here last cycle, you did not learn. You did not learn. Okay? You're going to make the same mistake again, man. So, if you're here last cycle, it's a good chance that you gave your entire net worth away, like I did. So at least we can learn something from it, goddamn, right? Like, so, and one of those things I realized is whatever the paths you think it can go, have a plan for both. So if things go up right now, since I'm leaving crypto, I'm basically like a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm no longer going to get those returns. Those days was once in a lifetime I got to experience, and I don't know what to say. Don't cry because it's gone. Smile because it's happened. Or whatever. Like, I'm trying to like have mixed emotion in my eyes. But whatever it is, right? Like, those days for me, I think it's gone. Holding some Bitcoin, and if it goes up, maybe I'll get a 2x my money over the next 5 years, right? Because even if it happens in the next 1 or 2 years, I'm pretty sure it's going to crash back down at some point. You're not going to have like just going up, right? Crash back down. So let's say like double my money over the 5 years sometime, right? Something like realistic. It's like not that different than whatever the I wouldn't say S&P, but like, I think doesn't S&P, like, don't you double your money every 7 years or something like that, right? I would say BTC might do it in like 5, a little bit faster. And you're taking like an adjusted risk for that. That's like where I'm at. All those other coins that can do 20, 30, 50x, I'm pretty much out of that shit. I'm just done, right? I'm just like, not gonna play this game of like, well, shouldn't you put at least like 30% of your money in it? Because then if it happens to really have that 10% chance that the market does rebound, then that 30%, I'm like, fuck it, man. Like, it's just not the type of way I do shit. I just kind of go all or nothing, right? So it's like, if I'm gonna leave, then let's just leave properly, and the returns I'm gonna miss out on. My exposure is going to be limited to BTC, and that's because of my views on BTC. I made videos about this before, I think, or maybe I just thought of many videos that I'm going to make that I think from time to time, like, yeah, I should say this in a video one time. That happens to me a lot more than you think. But I think I made a video on this about like, my thoughts about Bitcoin. I really do think it is still, even after 15 years in this industry that's been born, it is still the main use case, right? It's like, why do you use crypto? What, like, things that, this like what like normal people are always asking, right? What's the point of crypto? What does it actually do? Like AI or Web 20, there's so much uses. I can create content with it. What the fuck does crypto do? Well, first of all, it stores your value, right? It would be good, like all the money you're working hard for your whole life, if you have some of it in something that doesn't fucking guarantee to lose money. Don't you think so? That's like Bitcoin. Now, the annoying thing is that since top investors don't really are not betting into it as high anymore, including Pentoshi and stuff like that, whatever Peter Thiel now is saying it's going to be like in a volatile ride. I still think risk adjusted, that's my thought process, that yeah, it's 50K today. It might be 100K 1 or 2 years now. After a couple of years after that, it might be back to 30K. But over long term, it's going to trend higher and beat fiat in purchasing power. Cool. I don't call this crypto. I just call this store of value, like gold. Very simple, right? It's like nothing complicated, right? Store of value, everybody, this is like why we even got into crypto in the first place. Store of value, right? Hey, this makes sense. This like just makes sense. I'm going back to basics. What are we at? 40 minutes. I don't want to make the video more than an hour. I'm trying to think what else to cover. I gave you my reasoning. I gave you the top investors, how they think it's like muted. I gave you my reasoning for why I think there's a good chance it's going to be muted and the returns are not going to be that good. And I guess I can end with a little bit about my life situation, because I share pretty openly everything, right? As you know, I gave you the first 25 minutes, my thought process and how I think through things, how I talk to myself, looking back, what are the things I am proud of in my life, and knowing myself, what is likely something I'm going to be disappointed on when I turn 40, and those kind of thought process. And then the only thing I think I can fill in some holes on is like where I'm at financially, mentally in my life right now. So here, let's do this. All right. So I am sharing my screen here in my bank account. Something I used to do a lot more in the past. And the reason I'm doing this is because I wanted to have it properly documented. So this is my personal account, got 22K, and here's my business account. I got 67K. This is the cash I have. And for context, this is not a lot of money to run an agency where your expenses are like almost $50,000 a month. This is actually borderline dangerous. To have $67,000 for something that's like actually like 45,000 expenses exactly last month, 44 the month before, stuff like that. And currently, I'm in a position where I'm making, in the product we're at, let's do last month. No, I wish it was 43K. That's not true. It's probably getting August. 730, 38K there. So we're losing still 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, like $7,000, right? I don't even know where to begin because my emotions with this stuff is so hardcore right now, and I'm having such a tough time. So, and it's part of the reason why I wanted to share it, because this got to stop where I think like, oh, after this little bit, things are going to get better. And then I'm going to start making videos. All right. No. The point of this, I barely make videos. So once in a while when I do make it, if I'm not sharing my actual problem and like how the bad situations show it like it is, then I'm basically doing a disservice, right? It's like I was in a position where the business was doing we were doing over $1 million a year. It wasn't even honestly that hard compared to what we're going through right now. And I briefly touched on this before, that as an agency, we shifted our product where basically, for the most part, we were a pretty normal agency. Hey, we charge whatever, a couple $1,000s a month. It's a 1-year contract. It's like every other SEO agency out there. And what sets us apart is our testimonials and track record and how good we are at doing what we say we're going to do. That's like pretty normal. Then we shifted to like, hey, look, this thing that takes you like 6 months or a year for it to working, how about we take all the risk and you don't have to pay for it, and you only pay for it when you're one of the top. And although this sounds crazy, and it still might be pretty like crazy because I recently paid multiple consultants, and some of them are like, people who are coaching big agencies. Like they see agencies, like that's what they do for a living. They just like consult agencies because um, you know, they're really good, whatever, and they help grow 30, 40 agencies, and I paid them for their thought process, and even they were telling me like, hey, like for anybody in context, if you don't know how it works, like let's say I do roofing Dallas. This is my service. This is what I do for a living, right? It's like my job is to get a roofer to show up in the top three. Dallas, if you do, like let's, I mean, Dallas is a big city, so it might be a more extreme example. Not every city is as competitive, but let's just use Dallas. How many roofers are in Dallas, Texas? I don't know if this one would find it. As if there are 4,000 for roofing in Dallas area. Okay, like let's say 4 grand, right? When we did our scrape, we found like 1,000 something in terms of that are actually competing in the map section. But whatever, let's say there's thousands. There's thousands of roofers, and we're basically betting that we're gonna make the company we're working with in the top three. So if there's like 4,340, then the bet we have to make is you're gonna beat 4,340 minus 3. You're gonna have to beat 4,337 of them to get to the top, because you only get leads and phone calls when you get to the top. And generally, the way it works is that the companies understands your testimonials and like analyzes how good you are based on when you pitch them, and if they sign up with you, they're taking that risk. Okay, it's going to take a year, and we don't see progression that you're slowly climbing, and for most part of that year they don't see any of that money. They're just investing for the long term for their business. Now when I come in the market, I'm like, hey, look, all that risk, like we will take it. You only pay us when you rank, and we can make you one of the top guys. Obviously it's a very compelling offer, but the consultants were like, dude, you're just like, you're going into the market and you're betting against like just a mathematical deficiency. And I took all that advice, and I don't know why the hell I even paid them, because after that I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna ignore that advice. Basically, we're gonna find out if this is true or not. Like dead on, when I make videos in the future, you're gonna be able to see, was this stupid or not. And in fact, in the next couple of months, I'm gonna have to make this decision. I don't think I'm gonna have to be able to even play it out for much, much longer, depending on how things go. But it's like we lost like $7,000 last month, right? Let's say that's the rate we go by. Then how many months do I have? I have $67,000 in the bank divided by 7,000. That's 9 months. Well, that's pretty good, actually. I thought it was going to be, I feel at least emotionally it's worse than that. But that's 9 months till death. Like if I carry on the way I'm going and just like keep trying the way I'm doing, then in 9 months, I mean, I don't really have money for rent and stuff. Like my thing here cost, it's like pretty expensive. It's like around 10K. Constantly have to try keep it under 10K and whatnot. I'll probably have to let go of this place couple months down the road if that's the trajectory it goes. The answer is it's not good. It's really hard. It's really fucking hard. So what am I trying to get here, man? It's like I can't even think. Like to explain like everything, like how I'm going through it. All right. Okay, let me just take a step back. Why did I even show this? Because I want to show you where my life overall is. This is my cash balance. This is the business. This is the model I'm trying out. And I'm trying to make this work. And in the next couple of months, I think probably by the end of this year, right? I don't think I can carry this responsibly until the 9th month or something. I think probably in the next like there's August and September, October, November, in probably the next 3 to 4 months. Good time would be by the end of this year. So January I can have like clarity what the fuck I'm gonna be doing. So by the end of this year, I'm gonna have to get a concrete answer to if I'm gonna do this or not, if I'm gonna keep going in this direction. And the avenues I see, this is the 2 avenues I see. One is go back to doing what you're doing. which is, I mean, not bad. It's all right. It's what most agencies do. I mean, when I say most, it's almost all agencies do. I'm literally having a hard time I'm begging and trying to find somebody who's doing my model, right? Like I'm in so many groups. I'm in one group that has 800 agencies, and there was not one of them who's doing my model, right? So because consultants, sometimes I don't know, man. Or maybe I just don't want to take their advice. I don't know what I'm thinking, but I think wouldn't it be nice if I could find somebody who did what I did and did it successfully, right? Because agency is at least a proven out model, right? It sucks, it's hard, it's whatever if you're in the agency world, it comes with its ups and downs, just like pretty much any other business, to be honest. But like at least it's proven out. There's thousands and thousands of agencies, right? But since I cannot find somebody with my model, it puts a little bit more uncertainty. And then since the people I talk and get advice from are not people who are actually doing that thing, or like they have no proof if they made a huge attempt and failed or something, I still don't know if it will work or not, right? I guess to really convince me, I guess now that I think of it, like it might be like I would have to respect the person. Like let's say they grew an agency to a big number. Like let's say they had a $5 million agency a year. And then they were like, we went all in on my model. And then they said that after a year, it didn't work out and we moved back to thing. Then I'd be like, oh shit, this guy is 5 times better than me. I have a $1 million agency. I mean, I had a $1 million agency. He has a $5 million agency and he couldn't figure out this model. So why the fuck do I think I can? That would be like a much more like, harder wake up call compared to some consultants who's like, yeah, we coach people all the time and we help them do this and that. I'm like, great. And then they tell me like, this is a really bad idea because, not only it's like mathematically rare and that's why the risk has to be shared to some degree, and then they're like, wouldn't you have a way to at least like offset some expenses, like charge them something per month, right? Instead of 2,000, maybe charge them 1,000. Doesn't work like that, by the way, but it's like that was their advice. Or then the last thing was like, what if they don't pay? Like, what if like they like you do this thing for people and then they get there once they start ranking? What if they don't pay them? Since they haven't been paying every month. What if they don't pay when they get? So all this stuff is like what's coming up, and it's like increasing my like anxiety and uncertainty, and rightfully so. I should be afraid based on my situation here, but this is where I'm at, right? So I'm just sharing plainly. This is what I'm going into. I'll probably make a video on this. It'll force me to get my thoughts in order sometime from now till the end of the year. So there will be at least one more video this year. That's how infrequent my videos are. And I'll document like, which path I decided to go and my reasoning behind it. Last thing I'll say is, generally speaking, the way I'm going about this might not be a good idea. And again, I'm trying to be serious when I say that, because a lot of why I'm moving away from the old model is actually emotional. Like one of the hardest things in the agency life is to convince people to stay, to do all these bells and whistles and show them these things that actually do not benefit their business. This is the truth. Like for example, if I know to rank them, like I have to do XYZ and we're going to get them. In the agency normal world, you're going to have to do other stuff. Hey, we're going to do your graphic design. Hey, we're going to make this look more shiny. Hey, look what we did with your pictures. Look what, it's like all these deliverables that look nice. It adds value in their mind because they see that there's activity going on. But bar none, it does not move the needle. It does not actually make them more money. It's just to show them that we have all these other services we're doing for you. You don't have to worry about somebody designing your logo. You don't have to worry about somebody doing this. Oh, anytime you need flyers you're going to send out to your customers, ask us. We will redesign them for you. It's like, fuck, like, it's just not the type of way I wanted to continue working. I would really love to be treated, I don't even want to say expert or something, but it's like just at where I'm at, just like reality based, right? Hey, I made you $10,000. We agreed before we started that for every $10,000 I make you, you gave me $500. Here's $10,000. Can I get my 500? They would be like, of course, this makes sense. This is a no-brainer. I will do this all day long. I would love to have it to that degree so much that I'm going against the grain of everything that I actually know to be, to try to take a shot at that. So I can just have conversations where actually there should be not even conversation, where my team can be in a position like, hey, Joe, okay, last month, here's what we charged you. Here's all the leads we got. Please fill in your report. If you want us to calculate for you exactly how much profit you made or something like that, but here's the amount we got. And basically he knows how much he made. Here's what we charged. Like basically, it should be like just a text email, right? That's where I'm trying to get it to. That's where I would love to be. And the decision to do that is emotional. It's not a business thing. We had one of the highest retentions out of agencies we faced. We joined this group called Seven Figure Agency. It's a group that there's only 7-figure agencies, and we were stuck at 95% retention, right, for a long time, which is already considered pretty good because the average retention in the agency world is like 80% month over month. And by the way, getting from 80 to 90 is like extremely difficult. That's not just like if you do the math and do the whatever you call, you project out a yearly, it's very hard. We were at 95. We went and they were talking about how to become a 97% percentile agency. We implemented everything plus with a bunch of other stuff, and we got for the first time 98%. Meaning if we have 100 clients, only 2 people leave. It was for a short period, then we got bumped back down to 97. Point is, we were, mathematically speaking, without me saying we're good, we were good at what we did. But it still came at a cost of a lot of convincing, a lot of customer support and bending over backwards with email this, email that, and vast majority of it had nothing to do with the results. It's just how they emotionally feel about what we're doing, or what do they think they really need versus us doing what is needed to get the result that they are going to get. And if we don't get the result, then you don't pay me anyways, right? I'm not going to get much more into this. Probably this last part was not necessary because it's like I'm just going so much into my business. For the 3 people who watches this, if you like this last part, let me know, because maybe I can make more videos about the business part, because that's what I'm like actually spending more time into day to day. But this video, the most part was, guys, my thought process on me living the crypto space and properly putting a date on it, an explanation to it, my thought process behind it. I'm going to still keep making videos here for some time and see where things go and how things pan out for me, business, all this kind of stuff. I'll try to keep you guys posted. With that being said, peace out.